And welcome everyone to episode 23 of the Dual Boot Diaries, the weekly podcast where two longtime Windows users learn to use Linux daily. I am one of your co-hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
I'm your other co-host, Will Smith. And it's important to say at the front, we are not experts. We're just guys who use computers and are learning how to do this 1 week at a time, getting a little bit better every single episode.
Yeah. 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. And then theoretically, well, hold on, you saying opposites attract? Are you Paula Abdul or the cat? That's the question.
I don't know that reference.
What, you don't know about DJ Scat Cat? Hold on, we messed up the whole intro here, but we got to keep going. Okay.
No. What?
Adam, the 80s were weird.
Yeah.
That's where we started.
I know that. Yeah. I was born then.
And yeah, there was a nerds were like, what if we had a movie that had human characters and also some cartoons that we drew in over top of the human characters? And they would
like CoolerControl.
Or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. Both popular mixed media animated movies.
Yeah.
Paula Abdul saw not Tron.
Tron, they drew on those frames,
but it's not the same. Okay. They weren't cartoons in true. Tron. Yeah. So Paula Abdul, who you probably know as one of the judges on American Idol.
I know Paula Abdul. Yeah.
Okay. She had this song called Opposites Attract, and she was like, what is the most opposite person I can get to attract to me on a thing? And the person who sang that song with her on the music video was a cartoon cat that was basically the cat version of Poochie from Simpsons.
Okay.
Singing along to Opposites Attract with her. It was just a cartoon.
She's a dog?
No, she's a human. She's Paula Abdul.
I know, but how on the spectrum of animals is cat the furthest from human?
Well, she's not a cartoon, and DJ Scat Cat is a cartoon. Okay. I think is the idea.
It could have been a cartoon person, because then it's still...
Well, that's not as opposite as a cartoon cat. Okay, like a cartoon amoeba maybe would be more opposite, but I don't think they have a mouth, so they couldn't sing. Anyway.
It's a cartoon. Anyway, I don't even know how we got here. We're trying
That's the thing. We're trying Linux.
Well, okay, so which is Windows, Paula Abdul, and the cat is Linux? Which one's which? I don't know.
Wow, I might have to like... The short version of that reaction is going to have like the modem sounds and the me freezing. Yeah. I think that Linux is Paula Abdul and Windows is the hip hop cat from the 80s that looks like a caricature at this point.
You can't take that back now.
No, I know. Sorry,
it is what it is. All right, there you go. Linux, come at me, you got Satcha. It. Boom, done.
I mean, to finish the intro, at the end of this, theoretically, we're going to go from dual booting these two OSs to not dual booting those OSs and get rid of one of them. Fire it into the sun. Like Paula Abdul did the DJ Scat Cat after the Opposites Attract video.
It really took us 23 episodes to get to that intro.
Yeah.
Who knew?
we're just easing in.
Easing right in.
In.
Well, listen. I feel like I say this every week, but we got a lot to talk about, so we should dig into it. But before we do that, at the top of the show, I do want to mention 2 things. One of them is related to our podcast, which is we talked about this a little bit last week, but wanted to bring it at the top of the show again, is that we are looking into dynamically inserting ads. And what that means is we will have a little ad break at some point in this episode. We'll signal it. I'll have some fun with it. And we're going to then, in the back end, be like, hey, our ad network, place an ad, a random ad. Well, it's not random. It's, there are guardrails, but hopefully it's a good ad. Place it in there for audio listeners. So spoilers. It's happening. It's something we've been working on, and it's not live yet. We're just starting to get that workflow down, but it should be live at some point. We are getting feedback. So there's a link in the description down to our Discord. We're taking feedback over there. If you absolutely hate that idea, if you want to tell us that we suck, if you want to tell us, whatever, get that money, then do it, because we are gathering feedback to give to the higher ups to let them know how this is going over. So just let them know.
But this is a business, and the podcast has to make money somehow, or else
trying to. Hey,
they make you go do something else that will make money.
I'll tell you what, it's rough out there. I don't know, man. In the media space
market,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
there's a lot of layoffs recently. It's rough.
gnarly.
Everybody's hurting. So you know, sorry, bear with us. We're trying to figure stuff out. Anyway, the other one is actual Linux related.
Ooh, I like
so
Linux.
There was an announcement. There's a link down in the description. I just linked out to gamingonlinux.com. I don't know if you've heard of that fine website where I'm assuming people like to game on Linux. And it's an announcement of the OGC, the Open Gaming Collective. The headline reads, Open Gaming Collective formed to push Linux gaming even further.
I love this.
So essentially it's a working group of people from Bazite, Universal Blue, Asus Linux, which I had no idea had their own flavor of Linux, but why not?
No. I think it's the Linux team for Asus who helps them make sure that, like, because remember I used that Asus laptop with Linux. The keyboard and all the buttons and stuff just worked, and I think that probably doesn't happen by accident, would be my bet.
I just thought maybe Asus had their own distro or something. That would be funny. ROG distro.
Yeah.
ROGOS. Yeah, there you go. Shadow Blip, PeakOS, Fira Labs, Chimera
Fire Labs,
OS,
maybe?
Nobura. Anyway, Playtron. Their mission, which is pulled from their website, is that the Linux gaming ecosystem has been fragmented. Individual distributions have spent countless hours duplicating the efforts on kernel patches, input tooling, essential packages, yada, yada, yada. The OGC changes the game by centralizing efforts around critical components like game scope and hardware drivers. So anyway, go read the rest of it. This seems to be interesting, right?
So I think it's a good idea, right? Fundamentally, like having Cachy and Bazite and Fedora and all these different people implementing the same, doing the same work in multiple places at different times seems like a miss. Now, the challenge, as it often is with open source, is that at some point, somebody on the OGC is going to do something that somebody at Cachy or Bazite or Fedora or one of the other bazillion Nobura or one of the other distros doesn't like. And that person who doesn't like that is going to have to decide, are we going to suck this up, or are we going to fork the OGC kernel and do our own thing on top of that?
Oh no.
or like, is it not going fast enough, or like whatever the thing is. So I think it's a good thing, because like right now, when you look at Proton incompatibility stuff, when you go to like Proton DB and you look at like a problem with a new game, there's often hey, it's weird. This is working for me on Cachy, but it's not working on Endeavor, or it's not working on Nobura, or it's not working on Fedora. And like when you dig into it, it's because those distros are shipping different versions of the kernel with different patches applied, or different versions of the driver for the graphics card, or different versions of the libraries that attach to the driver for the graphics card and live between that and Wayland or X or whatever. And like, it's a good thing. I think more uniformity here is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, at least getting people talking. I will say, I mean, we talked about this, I think maybe last week, about us not following too much about drama, but I guess of this.
Hold on. I love scene drama in open source category. Yeah. We have regular scene drama episodes over on the Tech Pod.
There you go. Well, I don't, but somebody in some sort of chatter, I guess I should have looked into it a little bit deeper, but I guess that there was one person who was responsible for doing a lot of the back end stuff to make all this stuff work. And I guess he split off from certain people. And that's what spurred this OGC. I don't know. I don't know the full details. So, I want to dig deeper into it. I have reached out to some people concerning this that maybe we can get an interview coming up soon. Cross your fingers. But I mean, either way, like that is the weird. Well, it's Linux. It's the blessing and the curse, right? It's not centralized. It's the furthest away from a walled garden, which we appreciate. But then sometimes everybody is trying to do the same thing in multiple different ways, and it's not as easy for somebody to just point to a certain distro and be like, you know what? Like, just use that one. One seems to be the one that you want to do.
Well, I mean, the nice thing about this is it's kind of the antithesis of that. There's an XKCD. It's one of my favorites, but that it's like, hey, look at these 15 standards. There's a problem with them. None of these do what we need. let's solve this problem. And then the 3 frames later is, oh, now there's 16 competing standards to do the same thing, right? And this is the antithesis of that. This is the people who are doing that duplication of labor right now, looking and saying, hey, we're all doing basically the same thing. Can we work off of a common repo, common platform, and then make our additional changes on top of that? Or can we add this one step into the process that will save us from doing a bunch of duplicated work with a bunch of people who have similar goals and similar desires and all that? So I think ultimately I'm excited about this. Like, I think when you sent it to me, was this the one that I said, hey, we've only been doing this for 6 months. Is this a thing that happens like every 9 months and we just haven't been through a cycle yet? But yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Well, the last question I have is, should Valve be involved in this? Is it in Valve's interest to be involved in this? Because obviously, I mean, when they mentioned GameScope specifically, and isn't GameScope one of the things that Valve spearheaded?
GameScope is part of the Valve package for the Steam Deck. Yeah, it's the thing that makes the games run in the little container. I think they actually use it as their window manager or compositor or something for the Steam Deck OS, like the main UI, not the desktop UI.
So wouldn't it make sense for them to be involved in this stuff, or do you think like they're like, you know what? Here, we created stuff. You go run with it.
I think that this is much more in the, hey, we're doing weird stuff with your software downstream. And I think actually the Bazite guy even said in that article, was quoted in that article as saying, hey, we're going to submit stuff that the patches we make back upstream for Valve and for the other maintainers. So like, this is the thing that I think people don't necessarily always understand about Linux, is that it's a two-way street, right? Like, stuff comes downhill. Like, if you look at like the Debian family, Debian derived family of Linux distros, you have Ubuntu and all the stuff downstream from Ubuntu and all that. But the stuff that Ubuntu writes also ends up back in Debian in cases where it makes sense. So like, I think it's fine. I don't think Valve has to be directly involved. I don't think this, like, I'd rather them focus on their hardware stuff and let the nerds figure out how to make this broadly applicable to the PC market. I think it's pretty clear after the machine announcement that Valve cares about their own hardware and doesn't really care much at all about the larger ecosystem beyond, like, at least at this point. I'm sure at some point in the
Lenovo,
future they will,
I guess.
Well, I mean, but like, for all intents and purposes, Lenovo is just a Steam Deck with a different manufacturer label on it. I mean, the hardware is different, yada yada, but like, it's the same idea being sold to a different consumer segment that they're not serving, and it benefits them because they make money on every game sold on Steam, and presumably people who are buying Steam Decks buy more games on Steam than people who are on like a 20-year-old laptop, right? And it's a benefit that Lenovo is doing that for Valve, because it means that they don't have to like make hardware for those consumers. They just get the benefit of selling the games without having to do any of the hardware R&D or manufacturing or shipping or customer service or any of that stuff. So it's great for Valve. They love that. But the thing they don't want is to put themselves in a situation where they're supporting a billion people who are fed up with Microsoft and put Steam OS on their desktop PCs. And then when somebody has a problem, they call, Robin at Valve or email Gabe at Valve and are like, hey man, I've got a kernel error when I try to boot and I don't know what to do to fix this.
Well, but I thought they did mention that they want to release Steam OS as a standalone client.
Yeah, but I mean, they want to do a lot of things, and if they were serious about doing it, they would have put a timeline on it, right?
Yeah, well.
Like, yeah, we would love for this to happen, but we're not going to devote a bazillion people to it on our 300-person company. It's a small company, ultimately.
Yeah. Despite honestly, like, looking into other things like FEX is probably more worth their time at this point. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on the space. Yeah. Like I said, I've shot off a couple emails. Hopefully, maybe we can get an interview with somebody.
That'd be awesome
to discuss this. So cross your fingers, and we will see. But now, let's get to what we've been working on, because
it's the show. Yeah.
Wow.
You've been busy? Yeah. Your list is long today.
Busy. Do you want me to go first?
You can go first if you want.
I've got 3 separate machines that I've done three separate things on. So the
I'm
first
shook.
one,
I forgot to grab the handheld again yesterday when I was in the office. I realized.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get to that. So the first one is a quick one. My laptop, my work laptop that I have running Fedora, the Asus ProArt 16 something that it took to CES, all that stuff. I'm still daily driving that laptop when I go into the office or need to work somewhere in the house that's not at my desk.
Yeah.
And one of the things I talked about last time, especially after CES, I think it was that I didn't have any good camera control. So I actually did download Camera CTRLS. So
it's the abbreviation for control.
Yeah.
With an S at the end.
Yeah, got it off of FlatHub, or I guess technically I got it in the Fedora software store. It gave me the FlatHub version, and that's a pretty straightforward thing. That's all I was needing was to just be able to either lock down the white balance or adjust the exposure a little bit. Like it's not the most polished, graphical user interface, but it actually does what I needed it to do. So
it's basically the same as the thing that pops up in Windows when you want to change the exposure or the brightness or the sharpness or whatever of your webcam, if you're using the Windows stock one and not the one that ships as like a piece of software for your camera.
And what else was nice is that there's a little button at the top of the interface that you can bring up the camera. Like it'll actually launch a little window that shows your camera so you can see your changes in real time. The other fun thing, which I didn't even think about, and actually I don't really need, but you can actually select the IR camera as well, because that laptop has Windows Hello system in there. And so like we should have filmed it, but we were recreating like a horror movie where Will was standing behind me really scarily with his eyeballs.
Frame.
Yeah, so it was fun to be able to just look at the IR camera. Well, it was pretty cool. Not necessary, but it was still fun. So
yeah, it's I found that when I had, it was either that Asus laptop early or the Dell laptop. It must not have been the Dell, because I don't think I ever got the webcam working right on the Dell. But the Asus laptop, you could see the IR camera, and it's kind of wild because it strobes too. It's like flash. It's like I don't know, five flashes a second or something. It's pretty fast. The camera controls thing, I had been doing that same thing by using OBS's virtual camera. Which you get the same kind of controls as part of the V4L2 plugin for the camera device, which just interfaces with USB basically. But yeah, the camera controls, it's nice to not have to have OBS running if you want to use your camera for something. So that's good. I
guess now that I'm thinking about it, the only thing that I didn't check is, does it maintain settings between boots? I'll have to maybe set it,
take a look. Yeah. Set it weird.
See if it actually maintains, or I would have to change it every time.
Well,
not that this is a huge thing. It's not like I'm using my webcam all the time on that laptop, but in the times that I do need a little bit of control.
Well, and like the laptops for me are an auto white balance situation. That's the one thing I change usually most often. At home, I set it physically because I'm using fixed lights, and the white balance is always exactly the same. But on the laptop, I do tend to adjust more on a location by location need. One thing that's weird about camera controls, because I started using it last week too, is the settings that are exposed on a per camera basis seem to vary. So obviously my Insta360 Link has a gimbal on it, so I can adjust tilt and pan and stuff like that. And it gives me access to focus and things like that. But it doesn't actually give me an exposure control, while the Insta360 app does give me an exposure control. So I wonder if they're doing something screwy in software and Windows to have that exposure control in a way that I'm not getting with the just stock USB interface on the Linux side. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, maybe does that mean maybe some of the process is happening on device?
Or on this host is my guess.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, if people have thoughts about that, I'd love to know more.
Yeah. So
as it is right now, I'm just setting the exposure in Windows and then locking it and then rebooting, which is kind of a hassle, but maybe that's where we are.
Yeah. Well, my second device I actually have sitting right here because I'm continuing to test it. It's the Lenovo Legion Go 2. And the idea was, oh, hey, Cachy has a new handheld version. So I want to load that up there. And not only do I want to just try to futz around with it and use it, which was part of the goal, but then also to do some benchmarking. So I've actually been doing benchmarking. I'm not done yet, but what I want to do, or essentially the parameters of the benchmarking, I think I have like 5 different games that I had set aside, but I'm testing I'm testing 3 distros. So Bazite, SteamOS 3.8, and the new Cachy handheld version, all on this Legion Go 2. So it's the same exact piece of hardware, and then the 3 different distros on there, just to run the benchmarks and see what it can tell me. So I'm locking off the Proton version. I've locked off the VRAM amount in the actual BIOS. And then I am testing all 5 of those games at both max TDP and then also at 18 watts, like then limiting it in 18 watts. I think I'm going to do a separate video on this, so I'm not going to spoil too much, except for, interestingly enough, on the Bazite, like both of them handle TDP differently. I guess that's the high level kind of thing that was a little weird to notice, because I can actually get better performance. I need to go back and do the retesting, make sure that I set everything correctly. I feel like I did, but I want to check my numbers. But as of right now, it looks like Bazite can actually max out the TDP higher than Cachy for some weird reason.
Okay.
Like it has an extra boost, or it boosts higher. I'm not quite sure, but like, yeah, it was weird. I was able to turn in better numbers with Bazite. And then also, so in Bazite, you have to use the handheld daemon overlay, because the SteamOS or GameScope, whatever, that front end launcher doesn't have TDP controls. So in there, they have like 4 presets, which is pretty normal. It's usually like a quiet, a balanced, a performance, and a custom. So custom is the one that I picked for the max TDP. So I hit custom, and then I boosted the TDP limit all the way to the top. But the middle one is also is different, because on Bazite, the middle one, I can't remember, the TDP range I think is like 16 to 25 watts, where on the CachyOS one which is pretty much the same performance profile as or same settings as what you can find in SteamOS, where it is built into the overlay, and you get, what is it? It's low power, balance, performance, and custom. And it looks like balance there is a different wattage range. So like if you didn't know what you were doing and you were just like, I'm gonna pick one of those profiles, the profiles don't match up, interestingly enough.
From distro to distro, you mean?
Yeah, I guess I just assumed all of them would kind of use the same TDP ranges, but yeah, it was a weird thing. Not that it's choice, good or right? Bad. Yeah, it's definitely a choice. And it seems like Bazite defaults to higher TDP ranges across their 4 profiles compared to like Cachy or SteamOS. So it's interesting.
That's cool.
And not that you couldn't override that in Cachy. Like obviously you could put, something else, maybe Decky loader or whatever, to like load different TDP ranges manually, but I just wanted to use what was like kind of the built-in stock option to control that stuff. Either way, it doesn't matter, because I'm testing at the highest range, but then also each one of them I'm actually just limiting to 18 watts and like testing that as well. So.
How new is the is that interface? Is the Legion Go 2 rather?
The Legion Go 2, when did that come out? That was like
it's not a hardware support thing on Cachy's side, right? It's not like they haven't built custom defaults for it yet.
No, I think it's more like they're just using what's built into GameScope, because it literally is the same exact interface. And I don't know why Bazite doesn't, but Bazite uses the handheld daemon kind of thing. Yeah. Which is actually good. Well, it's good and it's bad, because you have to hit that right profile button to bring up the right panel. Mm-hmm. You have to hit it twice to get the handheld daemon one. You hit it once, you get the normal Steam launcher.
Doesn't do anything.
Well, I mean, it does stuff, but you can't change the TDP there. You have to double click it, and then you get the thing to not only control TDP, but it also has fixes for lighting control on the rings and stuff like that. Because, yeah, spoilers. I'm going to get into what using Cachy was like on this handheld. And surprise, surprise, there were things that just weren't working right out of the box. And some of the things are just kind of similar, kind of like the lighting thing, right? We kind of already knew that. The base Steam OS has that problem as well. You can easily install something and control the lighting, so whatever, not a huge deal. But I'm still getting that same weird issue where it hangs on wake. And both Bazite and Cachy are doing this where I hit the button to wake the device from sleep, and man, that takes like a good second or two, and sometimes like I feel like I'm sitting there waiting for like 4 seconds. I'm just like, whoa, why is this thing not waking up?
Is this before the movie plays?
So funny enough, I did end up turning on the movie. Like usually I have the movie off by default, but like I was like, oh, I can kind of hide it a little bit by having the movie on. It kind of fixes it by just allowing it to play, and usually by the time the little movie plays, it's fully awoken. But yeah, without the movie, it's just a black screen, I'm sitting there waiting for it to fire up.
Yeah, I wondered if the movie was hiding their crimes on the Steam Deck, because I remembered when I flipped the movie off on my launch Steam Deck, and this was many revisions of the software ago. I remember being annoyed that it seemed to take a lot longer to boot, and sometimes those launch windows are there for a reason, right? Those launch movies are. That's weird though.
It's not on by default. A fresh Steam OS install does not have the movie on by
Play
default
on resume.
For wake. It's usually just on like reboot boot. And start. Yeah.
Weird.
So it's weird. I feel like I did see some chatter about people saying that that's kind of a known issue with maybe AMD hardware or something like that. That it's like going too far down the sleep states.
Which I was going to say
taking too long, but.
So I've been digging into sleep states for my laptop because I've had some stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I wonder what sleep state it's using, and I wonder if it's falling all the way to hibernate, or if it's just using S2 idle or sleep. What's the power draw like when it's not plugged in? Do you know? And it's sleeping.
Oh, I didn't test that. I should.
Okay.
It seemed pretty standard for what the Legion Go 2. Like
compared to like the shipping OS on Windows or whatever,
even Windows, like the actual drain didn't seem that different, but I didn't like officially do any testing.
Did you do the recommended stuff like turn off fast boot and all that?
Yes, because I turned off fast boot and secure boot when I wiped the Windows stuff. So I didn't go back and I manually set the VRAM limits.
And then the other things I would say is, did you look at, I would run sudo DMESG, the thing to get the kind of hardware log from the current boot, and see if there's any errors that are popping up. I've had consistently problems with PCIe ASPM on AMD Linux machines.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
When I had to disable it with both a boot flag and in the UEFI, and then the errors went away from the log.
Interesting.
The other thing is you might have to pass we'll talk about this more later, but some of the sleep states to use properly, you have to pass kernel flags so that you tell the bootloader where to refresh memory from or whatever. Like if you want to use full hibernate instead of sleep or the deep sleep, then you have to pass some boot flags for that stuff. So anyway, are you using it? Does it use system deboot or something for boot loading? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I did not look that.
When you did the Cachy prompts you on the desktop editions, but I bet it doesn't on the handheld editions.
On the handheld, there's no prompt. Yeah.
Okay.
It just boots right in. Anyway, there's a couple other issues that are a little weird. The buttons by default did not work. So like the button arrangement was weird. I tried to even go in and map, and it was just not seeing certain buttons. The menu button and the sleep button actually wouldn't even go to sleep. I still have that problem. I didn't even fix that one. The sleep button did not push it to go to sleep. It just never registered. So I'd have to manually kind of, go hit that power.
Go to the menu.
Which, whatever. Not a big deal.
Wait, they have a dedicated sleep button and a power button separately?
No, it's the same button. You just hit it once and it goes to sleep.
Oh.
And it's not even detecting that. It'll detect a hard power off,
like a long press
when you hold it.
That's a hardware thing.
But that's a hardware thing. Yeah. So whatever. It is a known issue. So what I had to do is go install Input Plumber and then SteamOS Manager from the Octopi package manager.
So Octopi is just a graphical thing that lives on top of Pac-Man.
Yeah, I saw this Octopi thing and I was like, oh, that's a cool name for a package manager. And then I'd asked you and you're like, oh yeah. Anyway, so I restarted it. It fixed it. I think it was something, as I was reading it, I don't remember what people were saying, but something about Input Plumber was just not like linking the right buttons, and it fixed it. So except for the sleep button or the power button.
For the record, I kind of don't like Octopi. I found when I started futzing with that, people were like, hey, learn to use Paru and you'll be much happier. Paru kind of combines the AUR feedback, the Arch user repository, which is like packages that people have put together that aren't an official part of the OS, but are compatible with Arch compatible distros. So like, trying to think, like Discord for a long time was in the AUR, right? Like Slack repackagings from the Ubuntu packages and stuff like that are in the AUR. And it has fuzzy search. So you can type Paru and then space. And if you want like a file manager, you type Paru space file manager and it gives you a list of all the file managers that are in all the repos that it can connect to, which is quite nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I am going to chalk this up to being a new version of the handheld stuff. Like by default, the mapping should work. So I'm just going to assume that hopefully that's something that the CachyOS people know and are working on it for this handheld specifically. A lot
of times for these kinds of projects, especially that are tied to specific hardware, they do kind of tentative support until somebody sends them one of the machines to test and figure out how to work it on. Like I want to say
they did list the Legion Go 2 on the site. So yeah.
But like it's like OpenRGB and fan control, and those guys will often be like, hey, if you have if you send us this, then we'll make it work. But until we have one in hand, it's really hard for us to do the iteration and testing loops. So
unfortunately, the biggest problem I had was that the brightness does not adjust by default.
Oh, is it just on iBlast all the time?
No, it defaulted to 40%, which I've actually had this issue before. Was it Bazite? I can't remember. I've had this issue before where the brightness control doesn't work on one of the handhelds with one of the distros. I'm going to assume it was Bazite because that's the one.
That's what most.
Like I could go to the desktop and it would change it in the desktop, but it wouldn't do it in game mode. Like the slider just literally did nothing. Even if I tried to set it in the desktop, it did not.
That's wild.
Apply into the game mode. I mean, I think it's because it's a window manager and it's, like actually drawing all that stuff. Like maybe it just is a separate system. I don't know. Either way, I had to. It is a known thing. I had to install Decky Loader, which whatever, that's easy. That's fine. Yeah. There was a GitHub file. Man, I didn't link to it in here, but essentially had to enable dev mode in Decky Loader, install the zip from that GitHub file. And
that's because it's not part of their main repo.
Yeah, except for like Decky, like I like Decky Loader and you can do some really cool stuff with it, but it really sucks when you have to scroll all the way, open it up, scroll all the way down, go to the Decky Loader panel to do something as simple as brightness adjustment, whatever. Either way, I got it to fix. Surprisingly though, when it was stuff displayed in HDR, like I was playing a game recently that had HDR support and HDR was on in the system, the slider worked. The main OS slider worked, but it wasn't brightness. I don't know how to describe it. It like started at a value and then on one side of it would increase contrast and the other side it would decrease contrast or something. It was like
something weird was happening.
Yeah, it was like, so that slider did something, but only in HDR, and it wasn't just like pure brightness. It was like I thought maybe it was a gamma thing, but it didn't seem like that. It each side of the slider did something different, which was weird.
I wonder if it flips modes when you go into HDR mode and like something suddenly started working. That's a trip though. I mean,
I've never seen it do that on HDR on like the Steam Deck. So.
And this stuff all worked fine in Bazite.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I remember, or the latest version of Bizite. I've had issues with Bizite before, so yeah.
Weird.
So, I mean, other than that, I was playing, like I played games over the weekend and stuff, just like normal. Played a handful of games. Recently restarted the Mass Effect trilogy, which
bangers, everyone.
The story holds up.
I gotta say, I think that the hot new trend in computers is that you just shouldn't be able to turn them off. Like that's Microsoft has changed Windows, so you can't shut it down. You can't turn off this Legion Go.
Disable the
like
power
they're
button.
getting the Cachy's just getting on board the hot new trend for 2026. Never turn off, never log off.
I mean, the weird takeaway from just using it was like, oh, this just works like SteamOS and Bizite, and like other than the issues, which hopefully, but I think we'll get ironed out.
Yeah.
Other than that, you just use it in game mode. It boots into game mode. You install everything. You have all those options. The only thing that I thought was interesting was that when you go to settings and you know where you have like the OS, like what is it? They call it like SteamOS channel. Mm-hmm. What is it?
Beta stable. Yeah, it's the beta stable or experimental channels.
OS update channel and the Steam client update channel. One of those channels is the Cachy channel. And I was like, I'm not going to mess with this. I'm just going to keep everything normal, kind of thing. So maybe one of the beta channels fixes some of these issues, but like I guess at the end of it, I was like, okay, I don't know why I wouldn't just use, like, why would I pick the Cachy handheld one over the Bizite one, or SteamOS? If you've got SteamOS support and it works.
So
yeah,
one of the reasons people do that is if they play games that use Proton features that aren't in the Valve Proton drops, because they're either encumbered by patents or have IP costs that come with them. So, for example, there's some video codecs. So sometimes you'll play a game and the videos just won't play in the game. And that's because it uses a proprietary video codec that Valve isn't going to ship support for in Linux because they'd have to pay. I think Bink is actually okay. I think it's it's some of the other ones from that same time period, though. Like the pre-unencumbered AVC. What is it? What's the one that is all open source that people like?
I don't remember.
It's one of the post. It's one of the post. It's AV1. It's post HEVC. Doesn't have a patent encumbrance on it. So like Valve's never going to ship that because they don't want to pay a per seat cost on everybody who downloads Proton. But like GE Proton will include those, and the Cachy version of Proton will include this because they don't give a damn.
Well, I guess I'm going to assume Bizite does as well. So why would
I would assume Bizite does as well
versus Cachy?
I mean, look, there's infinite choice.
Yeah. I guess like it felt. Bizite feels more fleshed out. Obviously, I believe they've been working on it longer. You know, like I think Bizite really does try to focus on handheld stuff, where Cachy, I don't think this is like a main focus of theirs. I'm actually, to tell you the truth, surprised they even have a handheld version. But like, yeah, me personally, if I think like, okay, after this whole experimentation, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go, like, my feelings to just go back to Bizite. Like,
and so then I guess my follow-up question is, if you have, when Lenovo releases or Valve or whoever releases the images for SteamOS for vanilla SteamOS on the Legion Go 2, are you going to stick with Bizite or are you going to put SteamOS on?
Well, actually, I mean, SteamOS does work. Like I said, I've loaded SteamOS on here, and the thing that was broken was the brightness control. So, I mean, I guess, yeah.
That's something that they'll fix at some point, though, presumably, right?
Yeah, because right now the brightness control just doesn't work. I mean, yeah. Like I think when the official Legion Go SteamOS version of Legion Go 2 launches, it doesn't seem like it's that far off. Most of the stuff seems to be in there. Yeah. But yeah, so would I do Bizite over SteamOS? I don't know. That's the question, right? I mean, I guess I would just do SteamOS. But yeah.
I mean, you can, because the thing is, you can install like Lutris, you can install Decky Loader, you can install all that in Bizite. It's not
Lutris comes pre-installed. It's already there. Yeah, on Bazite. Yeah. So I mean, but it's not. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just not seeing the way I use it, which is mostly for PC stuff. Maybe if you're doing a lot of emulating, it's different, or trying to load different storefronts. But if I'm just trying to use it like a SteamOS, which I usually do, I'm just not seeing any like benefits, I guess, other than maybe the differences in user interface.
Yeah.
So the third PC that I've been messing around with is my gaming PC that's hooked up to my TV. So I just call that the home theater PC.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like home theater PC has a connotation to it.
Yeah,
like
it's a PC like media server into a TV.
Like well, but I don't know. Anytime I think of home theater PC, I think like, oh, it's also doing transcoding and no. Okay. Well,
it's just a TV plugged into a computer. That's it in your living room.
Anyway,
it's location based.
So for people who don't remember, this one I wanted to control the fans because it feels like it was ramping up under heavy load higher than it needed to and higher than it was doing in Windows. And so I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what's in there.
It should be easy peasy.
It should be easy peasy. So I went to the terminal, and one thing I do like about Bazite is that when you launch the terminal window, it gives you like a little cheat sheet of like, oh, hey, do you want to install a program? Do you want to update or whatever? Like it has a little cheat sheet of commands, which is nice for noobs like me. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, if you want to install a package, just hit UJust, which I'm assuming UJust is their package manager. But yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, I need to sudo UJust install -lact because I want to try this lact thing. And then it returned and said, just file does not contain recipe install -lact.
Perfectly reasonable error.
And I was like, well, first off, I thought that it was funny that they called it a recipe rather than a command. Have you ever seen anything?
Yeah, so recipes are, in this context, like a lot of the package managers will list the recipe as like the stuff that you have to do and the order in which it has to be installed in order for the thing to work. So it's another word for a script, but so they're more, I think usually they're more markup languagey than scripty, if that makes sense. So instead of being like, hey, here's a series of commands, it's, hey, here's the stuff you need. And then you know how to parse the list of things that you need. The OS knows how to parse the list of things, or the package management tool probably knows how to parse the list of things that you need. And it doesn't say, hey, run this and this and this. It says you need this and this and this and this, and then you can do this.
Okay, well, then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do what the little cheat sheet said, and one of the commands, and unfortunately I didn't write it down, but one of them was to show all the available packages that you could install. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do that, and I scrolled through. I did not see lact, but I did see CoolerControl, and I was like, oh, I remember people who were mentioning CoolerControl, so, and that one is literally on that list. Then why don't I just install that? So I did that. So. And then, yeah. So what
Bad
was it?
Things?
So sudo system control, so systemctl enable, and then, yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to, I did not leave myself detailed notes of what was going on, but essentially that's what it was. So I launched the application, and the application gave me an error and said I needed to run this command, the sudo system control enable, to enable control D or whatever.
Yeah.
Cooler control D. I can't remember.
All that is saying is like you start the system. It's like a system service in Windows, right? This is an always on piece of software that's running that is like,
especially if you reboot.
Yeah,
right.
It's the software that will be the interface between whatever the desktop client is that you look at and the actual hardware at the system level. Anyway,
so I was like, okay, cool. And once I get done there, I mean, I hadn't ever used that application before, so it took me a second to kind of understand, like, oh, this is what I'm able to control. It did have tooltips and stuff. After a couple minutes, it was relatively straightforward. So the first issue I ran into was both the IGP and the discrete GPU were just both called Radeon Graphics. And I was like, okay, well, I should probably go into the BIOS and disable the IGP and just to, I mean, number one, I don't need it. Number two, it just would make it look cleaner. Yeah.
Well, and you'll recover a little bit of memory too.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that, went back in. It was pretty obvious that, oh, okay, here's the discrete GPU. They actually have some pretty cool charting tools. I was able to set a graph and, stuff like that. But I just wanted to start off pretty basic. So I just did a pretty basic curve.
Did it run you through the whole like configuration process? Like the detecting all your potential like I2C control, the fan controllers?
I mean, I assume it did, but it was no like, it didn't take like multiple seconds and I didn't see it doing it. It just kind of launched and did it. So yeah, or maybe I missed it happening, but either way, I was like, okay, cool. It was easy for me to draw the graph. I've done that a million times in other applications. It was cool. And then I would go save it. You apply the graph or whatever, and then I would get this system notification pop up on Bazite saying, hey, there were errors. You should probably go look at the errors. And then in the main section of the application, I went and looked and it was like, oh, yeah. It's got errors. And the error would just keep throwing. There was a yellow and then a red. I can't remember. I think the yellow was a warning or something, but in the logs, it just kept throwing that yellow and red. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. And so I ended up posting this over on our Discord and was like, hey, can I get some help here? Because I'm trying to use CoolerControl on Bazite. It's giving me the errors. I don't know what's going on. And there were some nice people who were like, you know what? I think it's this, that. And they were like, well, why don't you just use LACT? And I was like, yeah, I know I want to use LACT because I'm mostly just trying to control the GPU. But I mean, maybe I want to control the CPU cooler as well. So I was like, I want to start here. And it was built in. It was literally in their list of applications to use. So I just assumed it was going to work fine. So some fine folks did some real digging. Like I went over to the Bazite Discord and did some digging over there, and they got back with some information that I'm just going to quote what the person said. They said, we think it's a matter of Bazite no longer setting pp_ over T drive _ mask as required for recent AMD GPUs as part of their script of installing CoolerControl. So it has to be done manually. They gave me the code to put it in. I pasted it in. It's long. I'm not going to read it. And I was like, okay, cool. This is going to be great. Reboot. Broken. Immediately noticed that something was wrong because the screen was just black. I could tell the computer rebooted. Mm-hmm. It showed the splash screen and everything like that. And then the screen was lit up. It was just black. Like it wasn't like a, hey, no input detected kind of thing. It was just displaying black. And then after a good maybe 20 seconds, it just booted to the desktop.
Oh, Jesus.
Like and by default, I have it boot into the game mode. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. And then the display was only displaying 1024 by 768. And so even when I went into the system, I couldn't change the actual resolution. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And it would pop up an install bar for Steam, and it had the little logo on the bar had a little X. So
it was showing the old X version of Steam. Yeah.
And it logged me out every time. So every time I boot it, because I was like, okay, well maybe I just need to reboot again. I don't know. And then the same exact thing happened, and like I got in there and I was just like, hey people, I don't know what's going on here. I need help. And it was kind of late at night, so like there wasn't many people in Discord, and I was like, okay, you know what? At this point, I'm just gonna reinstall.
The OS.
So
you could have just okay. So
well, no. So actually, I did try to roll back because Bazite does have a rollback helper.
Yeah.
So I ran Bazite rollback helper, tried to go back.
That's not going to do it.
Yeah.
I think you could have run system control disable CoolerControl D and it would have been fine. But
I didn't know to do that.
Reinstall.
So, yeah. So the people in Discord were like, "Oh, you need a little whiteboard in the back that says like how many days since you've reinstalled."
What we need to do is make a screen that just has a button, and you just every time you reinstall, you hit the button. I'm sorry, that sucks. But like, look, here's the thing. There comes a time with a new Linux install. It's funny. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago when I was working on the Stream Machine, and I had a lot of crashing, which we'll also talk about today. And after I spend like 3 hours getting it set up, I'm going to just fix it. Right. The hump, once you get climb up that hill enough, then the hump to fix it versus the hump to just burn it all down and start from scratch reaches the point where, okay, once you get there, it's easier to just go over the top. And yeah.
Well, luckily, especially on this machine, there literally is no hump. There was nothing that I manually really configured on this. Like I signed into Steam, downloaded my games, and I didn't really personalize it much. So I was like, okay, it's a pretty much a fresh install of Bazite, but I was trying to do some fan control stuff.
What kind of board are you on? What kind of motherboard are you on?
It's an Asus X670E Wi-Fi. It's a mini ITX board.
So it's funny you say it's an Asus, because I have had similar problems with CoolerControl in Asus. I have not been able to get. I can see all the temperatures. I read all the data out of the motherboard, but I can't control any fan speeds or anything with CoolerControl. I haven't actually tried LACT. That's the next thing I have to dig into. But
so that's the thing. Then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go to LACT. LACT was on FlatHub. I found it in the Bazaar, which is their software thing. Installed just fine.
Oh, nice. Weird.
Except for,
oh no,
and this is bringing me up to where I'm at. It saw the GPU, everything. I mean, it only really controls the GPU from what I understand. Like, or at least it didn't show me anything else.
That's probably the fan that's making the most noise in your system, if I had to guess.
Probably. Yeah. So I wanted to start there anyway. It's a triple fan configuration on that big Sapphire GPU. Anyway, the controls for tuning the fan, because right now it's set to auto, and then there's like a different controls, like different buttons to do stuff. It's all grayed out.
Did you try to run it as root? Oh, no. Or also if it's a flat pack, you probably have to expose those interfaces to it. So you have to run the flat pack hooks to let it access, to give it permission to access. It's like I want to say it's a UDEV, but I don't think that's right. Basically, there's going to be flat pack specific instructions for that kind of hardware control, because you have to say, oh, this flat pack application has permission to access this stuff.
Oh, because it's containerized.
Because it's containerized, yeah.
Well, and so would I search that?
It's running with reduced privileges, yeah.
Would I search that on
I would look on the LACT FlatHub page for that particular application, because it probably says, and maybe it does it by default on like Fedora, but Bazite has different stuff because of the immutable nature of the OS or something. I don't know, but that's my like. I'd put $2 on it being a flat pack permissions issue.
Okay, yeah. So
that's
where I got to. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've definitely done a ton of futzing, mostly in game land. But
that's good.
Yeah. And actually it did spark a really interesting debate, because there were people, as I was talking about this stuff, there were people in our Discord who were talking about, well, why are you using game mode on your TV? Like, why not just launch? There were people who, it seems to be there's a subset of people who believe that you go into desktop mode and then have Steam launch into big picture mode, which honestly, that's what I used to do for Windows, not only on the handheld, but also on the TV. And I mean, it didn't always work, unfortunately, because Windows, or I had to do other things like update, drivers from a million different places. But I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess I could, but then you don't get access to the GameScope stuff. Like if I wanted to control anything through there, not that I do, because it's not a handheld, but like, yeah.
So the GameScope, the place I use the GameScope stuff the most on a desktop PC with multiple monitors, and that's important, is because I want to lock the cursor. I want to specify the display, and I want to lock the cursor, because Wayland's stupid about which is the primary display. And also I want to lock the cursor into the game when I'm playing the game. So I have to like Alt Tab or something, or Super O to get out of that game. But yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
So yeah, interesting stuff. But that is pretty much it for me. Before we get to your stuff, though,
yeah,
check this out. I'm going to do it. like I talked to you about at the beginning of the show, what before we get to Will's stuff, let's pause to hear something from our sponsors, or an ad maybe right here. So now that we're back. Will.
Yeah, hi, Adam.
Tell me, what have you been working on?
Well, okay, so there's a couple of things I have been working on. I'll hit the Stream PC stuff first because that's, I think, easiest. Windows, I installed Windows after we talked last week, and it was unstable as hell. Like, I couldn't install drivers without a blue screen. I was like, I've never seen this before. Which
is completely different than how it was unstable in Linux.
Yeah, Linux was significantly less unstable. Like Linux handled the So, okay, the TLDR is we think the CPU is probably a dud, which is unusual for the Arrow Lake stuff.
Well, that is why they call Will the CPU killer.
Look, you want to talk about your anti-Intel bias over at the Full Nerd and Dual Boot Diaries. I think I have now, between all the Raptor Lake stuff I killed back in the day when that was going on, yeah, I've killed a lot of Intel CPUs. AMD, you're the only AMD killer I know. So
I don't know. But by anecdotally, a lot of people have said that they do not experience as much multi-CCD cross-talk problems than you've had.
As I do. Well, I mean, it's possible that I'm also doing workload. The game engine workload stuff is specific, and I also play an enormous variety of games at different states of development because of the kind of consulting work I do with game studios.
And you're a professional gamer.
Yeah, used to be. Yeah, ex-professional gamer. So I killed that 265. Actually, in my defense, I think that 265K was broken when we put it in the Teenage Engineering plastic case ages ago, because it was janky from the moment it went into that machine.
What do you mean? So Teenage Engineering broke it?
No, I think you broke it.
You
and
put
then
it in a
pulled it off the
plastic
shelf.
case.
I did put it in a plastic case. A friend of the show who will remain anonymous to protect their innocence suggested that I said, we did pull that CPU in and out of machines a lot while we were testing. And I was like, what if, and this is crazy, what if we got a little thermal goo that's non-conductive on one of the pins on the bottom? They're like, yeah, you should just take a baby wipe and smack that thing clean. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, but I feel like you would have noticed that, like, because you swapped CPUs yesterday.
I didn't think to look at the bottom at all. We should look at it when we're in the office next time. Anyway, so I swapped out a different CPU, lower power CPU actually, which is nice for the use case of this machine.
A 245K.
245K. And we ran it testing in the office for a few hours yesterday. I ran a stream last night and had absolutely no problems. So no dropped frames, no rendering lag. Everything seemed to work fine. Now, the one thing that I am noticing, and I before I pull the Windows drive from that machine, I want to load up OBS in Windows. I think OBS handles hardware acceleration for video sources differently in different OSs, which isn't that big of a surprise when I think about it. But I think the CPU overhead is higher on Linux than it is on Windows with the exact same hardware. And I'm going to kind of test that. Maybe I'll do a video short or something for it if we find anything interesting there.
Well, because we were looking at CPU utilization while you're doing your test in the office, and I was like, man, that's using a lot of CPU.
Yeah, especially on a kind of beefy, because like my recollection on the 9900K, which is what this machine is replacing, is that it was usually around like 6 or 8% CPU, and that's a almost 10-year-old CPU at this point. And this thing, I mean, was running 14%, 12 or 14%, like pretty regularly. So something's up. I'm going to, like I said, I want to A/B it against Windows to see if it's working differently in Windows. And then if it is, I'm going to kind of dig in and maybe submit some bugs on the OBS forum to see if I'm doing something wrong, or if maybe OBS just works differently on different OSs, which is possible.
Well, and I mean, the other part of it too is that you were barely using the GPU the overhead in there either. So like you would want them as much as you could on the GPU versus the CPU, right?
Yeah, and I did some basic testing. Like, so I use the VLC plugin and the browser source plugin. Those are the two that are kind of seem to be hitting the CPU hardest. They have different, like the controls for those are different in Linux than Windows. So like in Windows, the browser source, you have a use hardware acceleration check mark, and the VLC just, I think, automatically is using hardware decode for the videos that it's displaying. I don't know that that's the case. And I opened up VLC on that machine to see whether it was using, like, playing the same videos, was using CPU or GPU in the VLC client itself. And seemed to be doing the same, using hardware on the VLC client. So it's possible there's some configuration buried in a config file or something someplace that I can change, and that'll work. Or it's possible I need to find a different way to display. Like the reason I use that is I have, like, when I'm away from the stream or when the stream's starting, then I have like clips from previous episodes that just play out of a folder. So I have directories for different games, and like it'll just play all of the Arc Raiders clips or all of the Fortnite clips or all of the Helldivers clips or whatever. And VLC makes that really easy, but I'm sure there's other ways to do it as well. So, and then the most helpful piece of advice I got on that was, MPV always uses hardware acceleration if it's there, because everybody loves MPV. So thank you. Good advice. Okay. So I got that. I did test the portable Windows thing that we talked about last week.
Oh yeah. This was
USB.
Essentially like a live version, a live USB stick of Windows.
Yeah. Didn't work. So
what didn't work?
So I was able to install it. I put it on an external SSD, USB 4 one, plugged it into the USB 4 port on the front of the case, and it got to a blue hey, what's your username screen on that install on the machine, and then it just wouldn't. It would click past that, and then it would say, "Please wait a minute while we do some stuff." And then it was like, "Hey, you need to connect to the network," and I had to use the Shift F10 thing to install the network drivers, because the Arrow Lake drivers aren't built into 25H2 yet, even apparently. And then I hit the button to go next. Nothing. It said, "Hey, we need to install some updates to be able to use your computer," and nothing happened at that point. So I'll continue playing with it. I might do another build just to see if there's something I did wrong, maybe, because that's possible. But not a great experience.
Did they have documentation on like what kind of hardware it supported? Maybe it only supports like older hardware.
I mean, maybe it only supports older hardware. I mean, maybe that I have to I may have to do the thing that you do when you do like an install image for a business or something, where you pre-install software, and I might have to pre-install the drivers for the newer platforms. But I would have thought, I'm surprised that it didn't get to a point where I was at a Windows desktop and could like just install the drivers off of a USB thumb drive or something. That was a little bit of a bummer. So anyway, I ended up installing Windows onto a secondary. I put another SSD in the secondary slot on that machine and just installed Windows over there to do the testing. And I'm not going to give up on the Win to USB thing yet, because I think that's a nice, hey, I need Windows to configure some weird piece of hardware or something option, if I get to a point where I want to pull Windows entirely from this machine, my main machine. Also,
was this before we swapped CPUs? Could it have been the CPU issue?
It was before we swapped CPUs. That is another. I should plug it in. I can do that right now if you want. Live on the edge. Live testing during the podcast. I'm not going to do that, but
always be testing. That's what we say here.
Exactly. So that's that. It was a little bit disappointing that didn't work out of the box. I was kind of sad about that. I've also been working on the Framework laptop. So it has some power consumption. It's using more power than I would expect when the lid is closed and the machine is off. And it's not like heating up my bag or anything like that, but it's
That's
like
what I was gonna ask, yeah.
8 or 10% battery drain per day, which feels like more than I would expect for a machine, for a laptop to pull in like a sleep mode. So I did some looking, and I ran a couple commands about troubleshooting the power consumption on the device. And it turns out that machine is only supporting S2 idle out of the box. It doesn't support deep sleep, which is like the low power, like the turn everything off, but the RAM basically. And it doesn't hibernate, weirdly, isn't working either. I gotta say, there's a bunch of articles written about this for a bunch of different OSs, and the gist is to get Hibernate to work, most people say use S2 idle and then transition to deep sleep. If your machine doesn't support deep sleep, which I haven't figured out why I'm not seeing a deep sleep option when I do the testing. The Hibernate, you have to put some boot flags in that tell the kernel where the contents of RAM are stored when you're restoring from Hibernate. So you have to put something in your grub config or limine or system deboot or whatever that says, hey, if you want to get the contents of RAM from the last session, you pull them from this block device, right? And it's a big long, those UUIDs are like 16 character, 24 character chains of hexadecimal numbers and letters. So I got to the point that it would say, oh, okay, we have all the stuff for Hibernate working, and the swap file and the RAM size as abbreviated to, 30.3 gigabytes or whatever are the same. But when I run the command to test it, it's like, you don't have enough swap space to do this, because the way Hibernate works in Linux is it uses your swap drive, your swap file, which is essentially the same as like your page file or whatever in Windows.
Writes out,
yeah, and it has to be bigger than at the same size or bigger than the total amount of system memory you have. So anyway, I gotta figure that out. I think the easy answer to fix that is just to increase the amount of space that the swap file has, just by like a half a gig or something. The other thing to do is to figure out how deep sleep works and maybe do that instead. So I'm to be continued on that front, I guess.
And is there no documentation on this on the framework side?
There is, but it says go to this Arch page and do this stuff, basically. So the Arch, so they have a really good Arch wiki page that explains all the stuff you can do with the framework laptop. I should actually go back and revisit that, because I don't think I've looked at that since I started looking at this. That's a good call out. The weird thing, the one really nice thing about this is, so I'm in a situation now where I have 3 different bootloaders on the 3 different machines I use, which is not a bad thing to do necessarily, but it does add some confusion when you're adding boot flags and stuff like that.
Because you have refined on the desktop.
No,
right?
I stopped doing that. I'm using Grub on the desktop. I kept it simple on this last time I rebuilt the desktop.
So Grub on the desktop, refined on the laptop.
Nope. System deboot on the laptop, because I'm not rebooting on the laptop.
Wait, where are you using refined?
Never. Not using refined anymore.
Oh, wow,
no.
Man. Completely out of the refine life. I missed the boat, I guess. Or what's the third one then?
Limine on the stream machine, because it's also not dual booting. Although Limine apparently, so the reason I'm not using refined anymore is because the snapper support you have to configure manually to get the snapshots and be able to revert
to show up in the
in the boot manager. Limine, systemd, and Grub all, when you install snapper support in Cachy, get the right hooks to generate those snapper images and put them in your boot menu.
Oh, it just does it,
and it's just there.
It just works.
It just works, yeah. So the nice thing is the Cachy documentation for that stuff is really good. There's a Cachy wiki page that's like, hey, here's how to configure all of the boot managers that we support. And then you go to that page and there's headers for systemd and refined and Limine and Grub and all the different ones. Because the problem when you're doing boot flag stuff is everybody assumes you're using Grub, because that's like the default. So like I go to this wiki page, a forum post from like 2018 that's like, oh yeah, you're having Hibernate problems, here's what you do. And it's like, you put this in your Grub config file. I'm like, well, okay, but in a world where I'm not using Grub, what do I do then? And so you have to like translate the Grub command to the Limine conf file or whatever. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Shout out to the people who are doing the documentation on the Cachy wiki, because it's good. That's all I'm saying. Hi.
Real quick, why couldn't you just use Grub on all of the machines?
Well, in the machines I'm not dual booting, I don't really need Grub. Right?
Okay.
Also, Grub's slow and looks crappy. I want something that looks cool. Call me old fashioned. The Limine loading interface is all like monospace font, and it looks like some real hardcore computer business. It's really neat.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I got that. I like, ideally I'd like it to do deep sleep and not have to do Hibernate. I got to figure that out. It seems like there's maybe some AMD drama with deep sleep on Linux, so I don't know for sure. my browser testing, because I talked a couple weeks ago about switching browsers because I finally was annoyed enough with Firefox's the let's put our AI fingers in all of your browser business and making an increasingly large number of features that you have to like go deep into the flags file to turn off in Firefox.
I mean, you love AI. It's Will AI Smith. It's right in your name.
Yeah, that's my name. You can't spell William without A and I. Right?
So you're not wrong.
Yeah. So I had installed WaterFox, which is like the no AI, no Google version of Firefox. I installed, I think, Zen. I installed a couple others. I can't remember. And I started testing them and I was like, oh God, this is going to be a huge pain in the butt. And like changing browsers, changing OSs, it turns out way easier than changing browsers.
So everyone gives me crap for continuing to use Chrome.
I mean, they're right to. At least you're not edging anymore.
I use that for certain things.
So anyway, Firefox announced earlier this week that they're just going to add a turn off AI button because enough people have yelled at them apparently. And that's coming in the version that releases toward the end of this month. So I'm just putting all the browser testing on hold because I'll wait and see how they mess that up. And then I'll decide if I'm going to go back to more browser testing at that point. And then there's a couple other small things I wanted to shout out that I found that are really cool. A couple of releases ago, Noctalia, which is the shell that I use along with Neri, it kind of draws for people who don't know, the shell in this case is kind of like the default set of applications and like window Chrome and stuff that control like how the taskbar equivalent, how your Windows bar draws and what your window Chrome looks like around the windows, like how the windows are highlighted and things like the system tray and the clock and the launcher and all those kinds of core, like the things we think of as the OS coming from the Windows world. But in this case, it's just like a quick shell piece of software that runs on Quick Shell. And they added plugins a few months ago. And I went through finally and like dug through the list of plugins to see if I wanted to fool with this. And the first thing that I saw that looked dope is this thing called, I think it's called Keybind Cheat Sheet. So for folks who don't know, tiling window manager is all about those keyboard shortcuts, right? So like if I want to change windows, I hit the super key and the arrows to move around, to go up and down between monitors, stuff like that. And if I want to move the position of a window, I hold down Control and the super key and then use the same keys. If I want to change between workspaces on a monitor, I I hold down Alt and super and go up and down, stuff like that. It's a lot of keyboard shortcuts. It's a little confusing. They added this plugin for Keybind cheat sheets, looks at your Neri config file or your Hyperland config file if you're using Hyperland, and it pulls all of your personalized keyboard shortcuts out of that thing and gives you a thing that you can pop up that just gives you a list of all of your keyboard shortcuts and what they do and like their nice names. If you put nice names in the file and stuff like that, is super duper good. Really, really a big fan. So that's there. And then, of course, I bound a keyboard shortcut to opening that so I can just see that immediately.
What if you forget that keyboard shortcut?
It's super plus K. Well, there's an icon in the taskbar, so I put a widget in the bar. So that's really cool. The other thing I realized is that there's a common cache error that I haven't talked about. And this is a rolling distro problem that maybe is specific to Arch related stuff, since when they update, like say, there's Qt is like a window drawing, a thing that draws a bunch of windows for you, right? It's like controls how windows look on your desktop, and some software is written in Qt, some is written in GTK or one of the other frameworks for this stuff. And when they update like a version of Qt to the next version, then they get rid of the old one from the repo. Like if they add 6.1.2, then 6.1.1 goes away. So if you haven't updated all the software in your machine in a minute, and you try to install a new piece of software that requires, 6.1.1, then it'll fail. It'll be like, oh yeah, we don't have 6.1.1 anymore in the repo. You gotta, something's not right. And at first I was like, what, how do you fix this? This is an intractable problem. Turns out the fix for the problem is update your machine, then install the software. Don't try to update the software on a machine that hasn't been updated in like a month, right? I kind of I will say, living that rolling distro life for a while now, I'm thinking I might just, and this people are going to tell me this is a bad idea. And I know, just to be clear, I know deep in my heart that this is a bad idea. See, even your cat knows it's a bad idea.
Even Guthrie's coming in and being like,
no, don't do that, dog.
That's a bad idea.
What if I set it to just update every time I turn on the machine? No downside. I mean, the downside is they're going to change something that breaks everything, and I won't see the error because it'll just be running in the background. But no downside.
How often do you try to look at the updates, like try to pull updates?
So usually if there's a serious update that's going to break something, they pop a notification in the update flow. So it's like, hey, if you are doing this, then you need to do this before you can run this update. Press N now, right? Mm-hmm. It's happened once since I've been doing this.
Okay.
So
but are you checking it every time you sit down to your desk at the day?
There's a little icon in my tray, and right now there are 11 packages available, and probably
just sitting there looking at you right in the eye.
Look, I could have right now. I'm looking at an update to OpenCL-NVIDIA 590.48.01-5.
Oh yeah, you should
that's
do that
what
right
I'm
now
running.
while we're filming. Yeah,
and I could move to 01-6, right? My Zen browser binary is going to go up from 1.18.3b-1 to 1.18.4b-1.
That I've heard that's the good update. Yeah.
Look, who knows?
It finally gets good.
Who knows when I'm going to get the update that's just going to fix the problems, all my problems. Like, hey, the machine's a little slow when I launch the browser sometimes. I have a weird rash on my face when it's too sunny out. Like, all of these problems could be fixed with the right software update,
Wait, so you're not updating software because you're not updating Cachy?
It's all one thing, man. It's all Cachy.
But you're saying that that's the problem, is that installing the new piece of software doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Sometimes.
I mean, it's only when one of those big core libraries isn't updated yet, right? So like it's almost always a Qt6 or Qt5 error, and you'll like a new version of that'll drop, and the version of the software that you were trying to download is asking for the latest version of that, but it thinks the latest version is the one that's installed on your machine, not the one that's in the repo, because the one that's installed on your machine is gone or whatever. I look, yeah.
Could you have it automatically only update certain sections, like the Qt? If you think the Qt thing is the problem,
if you think
could
my
you be
thing
like,
is
hey,
no, if you think my idea was bad, that's a really bad idea.
Oh, Guthrie didn't say anything. So.
Yeah, Guthrie is like, no, don't do that, dog. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it though, because I think the first time I saw it, it was a scary error, and then I figured it out almost immediately. But I think it's worth it was worth saying out loud in case people are having similar experiences on rolling distros. And then my last thing is, and I think this might be an Electron thing, but I don't know. It's weird. It could be tied to one of the back-end window renderer things. But sometimes something crashes, and then Discord and Steam both reload too. And that's unsettling. I don't know why that happens. I would love to know why that happens. So if people want to leave a comment, I would appreciate that.
Specifically those apps.
Like Steam will reload, Discord will do the, hey, you're disconnected and need to reload. But the rest of the machine is still connected to the internet. It's not like it's losing internet connection. It's just like reloading those windows. It's like reinitializing those windows in those apps. And I don't understand why it does that.
Those windows aren't next to each other. It's not on the same...
Well, they're on the same workspace, but like it's not the other apps on the workspace aren't going away. It's not the other Electron apps aren't going away. I don't know why this happens, and I would love to know why. So like, for example, when Resolve crashes, Discord and Steam almost always reset, both of them. And I don't get it. And I don't think I'm seeing the old school Steam launcher that's the green X Windows version, but I'd have to look and see. Anyway, I'd love the people's series on that. That one's a weird one for me. Yeah.
Rolling, I think you just need to update.
I mean,
just update, man.
I could do it right now. It's right there. 11. Maybe there'll be another package when I'm going to check for updates. Maybe there's one more. Maybe I get 12.
Yeah. Why not?
Maybe I get 13. 13 is lucky,
baker's
right?
dozen. Boom.
No, it looks like it's 11.
Okay. Well, it's okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's what I got.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some homework.
Homework.
Well, yeah. So I want to continue to use Lact and try to figure out the cooling or the fan speed adjustment stuff on that home theater PC. I'll just call it that for now because once again, like it's not bad. Like it's not that like the machine is unusable because the fans are ramping up so high that it's crazy, but it's ramping up higher than it was in Windows. So like, or it's ramping up quicker, like if that makes sense, and like hitting higher speeds. I don't know. It's definitely something that I want to tweak, and also like I do want to undervolt that GPU. Just I like undervolting. It's fun, especially in a small form factor rig like this. So everyone says undervolting in Lact is fun. I have not messed with it yet, so cool. I do want to do that. Other than that, I do want to finish up this handheld testing, which the video, I'll talk about it here for sure, but I think we should cut like a specific video for PCWorld's YouTube channel for that. So maybe the final video you'll have to wait for a little bit, but the actual, like I'll talk about it here because I'll have all the testing done. I just need to finish up some numbers and double check and things like that. But
cool.
It's been interesting. And then,
that's what you got.
It.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try Lact. I like an undervolt. I like a little bit of a down clock on a GPU. I like not hearing this. It's funny. Most of the machines in most of the fans in my main desktop PC are relatively quiet, even at fairly high speeds. And they it's water cooling, so it's like it's pretty independent of moment to moment spikes in like CPU utilization and temperature spiking, and more about the temperature of the water getting too high. But the problem is, there's one fan on my AIO that's like under the pump head that is like it goes up to like 15,000 RPMs or something ridiculous and sounds like a jet engine. So sometimes Linux on Windows with fan control, it's just like steady at like 30%, right? That's all it needs ever. Sometimes on Linux that thing spins up and it sounds like a jet engine in here, and I got to figure out how to kind of stifle that.
Is it a separate header?
That I'm not sure. No, well, because it's a weird one, right? Because it goes in. It's the fan is on a thing that like magnetically snaps onto the pump header, and I don't think it takes the header.
It's one of the Arctic.
Yeah. It's an Ace Tech. This is an Ace Tech Asus model CPU cooler AIO.
And the fans in. Is this the one with the screen?
It's the one with the goofy screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I can't control the screen in Linux, so I should really just switch to one that doesn't have a screen because it just makes me sad.
Or just take you don't need that cover. You could just leave the cover off.
I don't want to leave it naked. It's going to look weird. It has a big window on it. I can't.
Do you have glass on that one?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah.
What does it default on the screen? I guess in Linux. What do you see? It's probably like the Asus logo or something.
It's the Asus Republic of Gamers logo, and it kind of like ripples across the screen. It makes me think of how much of a Republic of Gamer member I am. So anyway,
because that's not going to have any control in the BIOS.
No.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I set up that Asus keyboard a few months ago and used the web interface to control that, I was like, oh man, it's giving me the option of controlling my AIO too. Maybe I can change that in the no. That's a new feature for new devices, not an old feature for old devices. So anyway,
unfortunately, you just got to upgrade.
Always be upgrading. So Lact for at least getting that fan under control. The framework laptop sleep power draw thing, I'm going to keep digging into. I want to crack that and figure that out. The DaVinci Resolve crashing, I touched a little bit on this last week, but when I do certain things, when I drag certain things from window to window, I'm having some crashes. And a couple of people in the community have reached out to me and sent me some stuff to try for that. So I'm going to dig into that this week. And then the last one that I realized is that Arc Raiders is getting chonky. The perf is getting chonky. in a weird way. Like the frame rate still is good, but it's like it's up and down with, I think my guess is that like the average frame rate is probably pretty good, but the 1% lows are probably terrible. And there's like animation hitching and stuff like that after like 2-ish hour long sessions. So like at the start of a stream, it's fine. By the last game of a stream, I like last night, by the last game of my stream, I was like, I got to restart the game if we're going to keep playing after this, because it's getting kind of chonky. So
have you tried different Proton versions?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know which one I'm on right now, actually.
Even because that Proton 10 is pretty new. Have you tried that one? I'll launch Steam and tell you which one I'm actually on. But I think I used the Cachy one as the one that it defaults to on they do the compiled one. It's kind of like GE, where they compile in some of the stuff that's maybe not open source compatible necessarily. This one, I'm not forcing a specific compatibility tool. So that means I'm using whatever the default is in Steam, which is Proton CachyOS 10.0-20260127 native, which is the most recent version. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I tried GE, I tried Hotfix, I tried experimental at different times. I mean, obviously those have changed since I did those tests. So anyway,
you're always having Arc Raiders problems, man.
I mean,
maybe it's just you.
It's kind of a beefy game.
Have you tried to update you?
And I'm updating myself all the time.
Rolling update.
Just always be updating. That's my next big shirt, is always be updating. Just
there you go.
Hit that button. Little red dot on the will icon. Yeah, so that's homework for me. I think that'll get me through a fair amount of stuff. I also need to update. I realized my home lab stuff, I need to go in and update some software on it, because I'm running, let's say, some LTS versions of Ubuntu that are probably past their expiration date, and I need to think about moving those to more supported versions. I mean, that machine doesn't touch the outside world really, so it's probably okay, but better safe than sorry.
Real quick, I just realized I wanted to test out GeForce Now.
Oh yeah,
I hadn't.
Yeah, you should.
So
it's
I
cool.
want to get back to that. Yeah,
I played a fair amount of Fortnite this week with it, and it remains good.
Yeah, like I want to circle back to our discussion of like, could this really be the thing that helps you completely get off Windows?
Yeah.
So
that's hopefully that's the ace in the hole.
Maybe. All right. Well, check back next week for your fix of Linux Talk here on Dual Boot Diaries. If you want to watch the video, we push it live. We push the pre-recorded live version. It's called a premiere on YouTube on the Full Nerd Network. So you go over to YouTube, you subscribe to the Full Nerd Network. It gets pushed live at noon Pacific on Fridays. Come hang out. Sometimes we're there in the chat, but there's always at least, a good amount of people hanging out, watching the premiere of the video. The audio people actually get it earlier. I watched that one at 3 a.m. Pacific. Yeah. So if you're waiting for your commute, then we can get you straight into your ear holes. And if you want to listen to that, anywhere RSS feeds point to, we should be there. If we're not, let us know. If you want to hear more about PC hardware, because we do a lot of that testing, then go subscribe over at the Full Nerd podcast. If you want to know more about handheld gaming, I have a podcast coming up real quick. Hopefully, as of right now, the timeline is maybe launched within the next couple weeks. So
a lot of Linux talk in there too, I bet. Huh?
I mean, actually, there will be, because we're talking about handheld gaming stuff, and I'm talking. I mean, that was half my homework today.
Yeah, that's Linux, baby.
Handheld stuff. Yeah,
the gateway drug.
Also, if you want to go get some deep dives into other tech related topics, then subscribe to Brad and Will made a Tech Pod.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. We're at techpod.content.town. We're home of fine podcasts. So
if you want a shirt being mean to AI slop, then go to microslop.content.town and buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it comes in Microsoft Blue. People love it.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Maybe I should buy one too. I didn't even think
you might know
that.
a guy. I might be able to help hook you up.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, Thanks everybody for hanging out. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Adam,
for helping me out.
This has been good.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's good times. We're deep in the Linux land, and we're only continuing. So we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.